What is up, everybody? It is your local Ottawa fan, and this is not a video. It is a funeral. I'm not in my typical getup, my gear. I am dressed in all black for the Ottawa REDBLACKS 2025 season, being DOA. It's done. Let's not kid ourselves here. Don't keep the hat off out of respect, right? We're done. We're not making the playoffs. Barring a turnaround of epic proportions, our season is effectively over, and even if we do turn it around, this is concerning beyond belief. Because you have to remember how last season ended. We had a hot start and then just disassembled in the latter half of the season, and we were lucky that Calgary, Edmonton, and Hamilton had bad enough starts that it was too late. Especially Hamilton, who heated up. The trend has continued. Hamilton's continued to be a good team, and we've just fallen off of a cliff. We are 1/3 of the season through. We are 1-5. After losing to the Hamilton Tiger Cats 23-20 in a game where Hamilton never held a lead until within the 3-minute warning. All game. We either were leading or were tied. A game that, honestly, we should have won. But we made so many pivotal mistakes. You want to count the pivotal mistakes? First off, the awful... This is twice now that what would have been a momentum-shifting touchdown, or at the very least, within the 5, got wiped away due to a needless penalty. Khalil Pimpleton on what would have been a punt returned to the end zone for a touchdown in back-to-back games. That would have put the nail in the coffin. That would have sent this one home. Called back due to an illegal block, a penalty which we challenge, a challenge which fails, so we don't have our timeout at the end of the game. So when Hamilton gets their first down, there is nothing we can do but watch as the clock winds down. Great job. Just great. That's one. Multiple picks. This, in my opinion, this was Drew Brown's worst game as an Ottawa REDBLACK. And that's good news and bad news. The good news is it wasn't like the worst game ever. Look, here's the stats on Drew Brown. 24 completions across 38 attempts, 283 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions. And 20 points, he wasn't exactly game-breaking. I've said it before, I think every game Drew Brown is in, you feel like you're in it. The second half, especially the fourth quarter, it felt like the offense just couldn't get anything going. And honestly, they couldn't. And that cost us. Our defense was on the field the entire time. The defense did well. They didn't do spectacular. And a lot of times, Hamilton punted because of an overthrown ball, not because of stellar defense. But we didn't get sacks. We didn't get picks. But we also didn't give up too much. But you could see the defense getting worn down. And in the fourth quarter, I believe it was fourth quarter, Khalil Pimpleton fails to handle a punt. He can't corral it. Hamilton takes over. The defense gets to stop on 3rd and goal. We get a big stop. A big stop. And then we turn the ball over. The entire game, it felt like it was inevitable, that we were going to choke, that we were going to blow this. It was just how and when are we going to blow it? How things have changed, right? Last season, we were finding ways to win ugly games like this. In 1-score games this season, we've had 4. The Ottawa REDBLACKS are 1-3. That is a third of our 2/3 of our season, which is a third of the way through. We are getting close games. We can't win them. We can't close them out. We can't find that extra inch, and that was so pivotal to what little success we had last season. I think that's the other thing. Last season was a success by our standards. Our standards are here. They're on the floor, actually. Make the playoffs? Are you kidding me? In a league where 2/3 of the team do that? I was mentioning it last season. I said that to miss the playoffs as consistently as we did 2019, 2021, 2022, 2023, 4 straight times in a league where 2/3 of the league make it, it is statistically more likely to accidentally make the playoffs than to keep missing. That's what last year was. It was our accidentally making the playoffs. It was an oops. It was just that, wow, eventually it's going to happen because again, it's a statistical anomaly to miss so consistently. We're right back to our comfort of being awful, being garbage, being bottom of the league. We are, by the way, the bottom of the league, dead last in the CFL. We own that spot, by the way. Toronto, they have one win. Edmonton, they have one. They have less games played, though. See how that works? We've had 12 points. 12 points on the table. 12 God-given opportunities for points. You get a point by tying or by winning. You get 2 for winning. We have 2 points out of a possible 12. Where does this leave us? We play the same team next week. Now, maybe the benefit is, hey, we were on short rest. Maybe you can take some solace in the fact that, hey, 23-20, we had way less rest than they did. We had 5 days rest. They had so much more. Oh, next game we'll get them. I doubt it. And even if we do, so what? That's the thing. Okay, great. Let's say we go to TD, and this time we do win at home for the first time this season. We walk all over the Tiger Cats. We win 51-0. Oh, wow, great. So what? What does it change? We go from being 1-5 to 2-5. BC's still ahead of us in the playoff race. They still hold the crossover. This is assuming that Toronto doesn't just beat Montreal and they get to stay comfortably in third. I've never been so excited for a bye week in my life. I've never been so excited for my team to not have to play. Because we need a bye week like nobody's business. We need a bye week so bad. What do you want me to say? Okay, I gotta break this game down because it is awful. We get a quick stop. Then what happens? We follow it up with a great drive. Geno Smith, who had a pretty good game. Receptions, he was 7 receptions on 14 targets, which isn't amazing, but he got a lot of yards. He got 128 yards. He had a bunch of plays where he fought for extra yards, and he does that, and Gosling storms down to the 11, and then Brown fakes a throw, rushes, but before he gets to the line of scrimmage, he passes to Keelan White, end zone, touchdown. Ottawa's up 7-0 to start the game. I wish I could get excited. I saw this against Saskatchewan. But I'm like, okay, that's as good a start as any. Then our defense gets a huge stop. An intentional grounding sets Hamilton back 21 yards. It brings up a mammoth 2nd and 31. Obviously, they do nothing. They punt. We get to their 38 and we punt. I get that later in the game, Ward missed a long attempt. I would have kicked a field goal. It's 38 yards. It's Lewis Ward. You got to show some trust. I know that it's not 30 yards. It would have been closer to like an attempt beyond 40. And I know he missed one. Beyond 40 later in the game. But another chance, another try would have been real nice. Anyways, it's a decent punt. We get another stop. We get a first down and not much more. Hamilton gets the ball back. They move the ball and they punt as well. They get a rouge. Okay, 7-1. Doesn't change much. Again, it's a punt. We punt it right back. This was an ugly game of football. This was a game where it's only enjoyable if you're a Tiger Cats fan after the fact. I think everybody else, like every other fan base, I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry to like the Rough Riders fans who watched this game, and the especially the Riders fans who must have just not had a fun time. Yeah, after their other game against Calgary, watching this. I'm going to talk about Calgary later. But yeah, it was an ugly game of football. There's nothing worse than an ugly loss. You know, a beautiful loss, an entertaining loss, you can at least take solace in the fact that it was a good game after the fact, you know? You can at least say, I'm a Niners fan. I hate talking about that Super Bowl, but it was entertaining. It was an objectively entertaining game. You know, if I remove my fandom out of it, it was a good game. I'm sure Stampeders fans could maybe feel the same way about 2016. Yeah, it sucks if you were a Stampeders fan in 2016. Objectively good game, and I'm sure that matters to a certain extent. I've seen good games where my team lost and I was thoroughly entertained, and I left with a bit of a bitter taste in my mouth, but it was a good game. An ugly win? Okay, sucks that it was ugly, that it was gross, but at least you get the satisfaction of seeing your team win the game. I've seen lots of ugly wins in my day. You think the Charge haven't gotten a few ugly wins that I had to talk about? And what was my general reaction? I was happy. I was like, you know what? They won. They won. An ugly loss is brutal. This is less fun than the Edmonton game. At least that was a back and forth shootout. That was fun. Yeah, there was, no defense, but that was fun. I had fun watching the game. I had no fun watching this one. This was awful. And after a long punt battle, eventually Hamilton gets the ball and they press for a major, but we force a field goal. It's 7-4. And, we go get a decent drive. It's a long attempt for a field goal. It goes wide again. I'm not mad. I'm not going to pin this loss on Ward for missing. Yes, obviously that would have changed. It wouldn't have changed the game, though, really. Because if you look where Hamilton had the ball at the end of the game, they would have just kicked at least a rouge. They would have kicked at least a rouge. Based off of field position alone, Hamilton had this game won in the fourth quarter, irregardless of if this field goal goes through. And I'm not mad. It was a long field goal attempt. Hamilton gets to about their 50. They punt. We don't do much. That brings us to the end of the half. 7-4 at the end of the half. Weird half, ugly half. I was happy that we had a lead, though. I thought that we could have had more points, though. I thought that we started strong and just didn't capitalize. That we could have had more points, and we didn't. But we get a huge return from Khalil the Thrill to start out the next half. We're immediately in Hamilton territory, and while Gino Lewis almost makes a great catch in the end zone, it hits the ground. We kick a field goal. 10-4. That's fine. And Hamilton takes no time at all. They get a touchdown. Just great. 10-10. They miss the extra point. So this golden opportunity to take the lead, gone. It's still 10-10. We're still tied. We're still in this. And that is when we throw a pick. Drew Brown's first pick of the season. Now, this one's not that bad because it's at like their 5-yard line. Okay. If our defense can come out and get a stop, we'll be okay. And guess what? That's what they do. They force 2 and out. Our defense played well. Our defense, we lost because they were too thin at the end. They get a 2 and out. We start back behind the Hamilton 40 after the punt. We basically lose like less than 10 yards. We throw the pick at the Hamilton 33. Yes, that would have been 3 points had we kicked a field goal. But whatever. And we do decent. We don't get a touchdown, and it would have been, really nice if we did. But whatever, we kick a field goal. 13-10 Ottawa. Hamilton, they move the ball to our 33. They kick a field goal. 13-13. And then we got a really good drive. Gino Lewis, and some more big plays. And then really good play to get the touchdown with William Stanback. A great play call. Lots of pressure on Condell. And you have to imagine he's on the hot seat. I'll give him this. This was good. And we punch it in. Stanback on the last play of the third quarter punches it in. And we lead 20-13 going into the final quarter of the game. 2 and out. And this is when we have a return that, if you get a touchdown to end the third quarter, then immediately start the fourth quarter with a 2 and out, and on that punt return, you score a touchdown. And so you go from tied to being up 2 scores. That puts it away. The momentum is so far in your favor that they aren't coming back. And we take a meaningless penalty, a stupid penalty, a penalty that you just can't take, and then we challenge, and the challenge fails. And any momentum that we had, you could feel it in that exact moment. It was gone. That was the moment where I was like, oh, we're losing this game. We were up by 7, and after that, I was like, we aren't going to win. I could just feel in my bones that this had classic Ottawa choke written all over it. What do you think happens? We give up a pick. We give up a pick in our territory. And because it's a penalty, right, again, would have been a touchdown. Now we start our own 50. It is a pick in our territory. And even still, our defense is strong. They force a field goal. 20-16, still in it. Well, we lose yards immediately on our next drive. We take a bad penalty. We have to give them the ball back. And I'm thinking, now is the time for our defense to play hero ball. They do! They get the stop again! And then we botch the punt. And Hamilton recovers deep in Ottawa territory. And they press, and they press, and they get to 1st and goal at our 4. And you see the writing on the wall. There is less than 4 minutes. 1st down, overthrown. 2nd down, overthrown. 3rd down, incomplete. No penalty, no flag. Turnover on downs. Our defense has done it again. All we need is just get something, anything done on this drive, because we're starting at like our 4-yard line. What you need to avoid is a 2 and out and giving them great field position for another opportunity to score a touchdown, when our defense has basically been on the field for like play after play after play. Well, our offense has been nowhere to be seen in the 4th quarter. And on 2nd down, we throw a check down pass and have to punt. And after our defense playing their hearts out, eventually it's going to happen. And exactly what you think is going to happen happens. And Hamilton punches it in. They score a touchdown. They this time get the extra point, and they lead 23-20. We had chance after chance after chance after chance after chance after chance after chance to win this game. And on 3rd down, we have to go for it. We don't get it. Game over. Hamilton gets a 1st down. What? What do you say to that? How do you lose this? How do you make so many mistakes like that? How many turnovers did they have? That one where we got that huge... Bo Levi Mitchell was overthrowing a lot of balls, and we didn't get anything. And I'm not mad at my defense. I'm mad that we turned it over 4 times. You aren't going to win. You aren't going to win when you turn the ball over 4 times. You aren't. The fact that we lost by 3 is a miracle. But we should have won. We kept giving them opportunity after opportunity. The entire fourth quarter, almost the entire fourth quarter, was played in our end. It was abysmal. That's when you need to be your best. That's when a field goal would have tied the game. Literally, we just needed to get to like their 45 even, to at least get a shot. I don't even think we would have gotten it, honestly. I think if we attempted like a 50-yarder, we probably would have missed. And I love Lewis Ward. But based off of just the vibes of this game, I don't think it would have happened. But at least give us a chance. And now what? Okay, great. We beat Hamilton next week. Then what? We're multiple games back of a playoff spot. And I think I'm at a point where I will confidently say we have 2 games left in July. 2. If we lose either, not both, either game, we need to change at head coach. We need to change at offensive coordinator. And Rick Campbell is right there. And what you need to do is, if there's 8 games left in the season when Rick Campbell takes over, even if we're 1-7, which is terrible, 10 to 12 games, right? Because I wouldn't even be completely shocked if within the week we see a change up. Bob Dice's record is 15 wins, 30 losses, 1 tie as head coach of the Ottawa REDBLACKS. That is a tough record to defend. If you take out last season, it's 6 wins and 22 losses when you exclude last season. It's bad. Most coaches don't last that long with a record like that. So and I like Bob Dice, I really do. He's really entertaining. He seems like such a nice guy. But something needs to be shaken up. And if he's gone by the end of the month, you need to make the next head coach have time. Because you got to remember, when Bob Dice came in, he came in as an interim, and he had 4 games. That's not a big enough sample size to make a decision for the long-term health of the team. Which is why I say you need to make that decision now, basically. That's where I say, look, if you aren't doing it this week, it has to be you win both games in July that are left. You need to, at worst, be a 3-5 team going into August. Okay, that's salvageable. That's salvageable. If we're 3-5 at the end of July, we might make the playoffs. We might do something. If we are 2-6, or God forbid 1-7, you need to change it then and there. Honestly, if you're 1-6, if we are 1-6 after next game, you need to make that call. And you need to give the 10 to 11 to 12 games that next head coach will take over for to actually get a sample size. And also to maybe see, is it because I think this team is well constructed. Drew Brown is a very good quarterback most nights. I think that this team has potential. Look at the Sens. Right? And you need to give the interim enough time that you can actually make a decision. 10 games is enough of a sample size where if they're 5-5, okay, maybe keep them on. 4-6 even, you know, if we finish with 5 or 6 wins, but in 10 games, Rick Campbell gets 4, you know, okay, maybe I could see an extension. If we have a bad 10 games, we have 3-7, 2-8, you know, to actually look in the offseason. But this season feels done. I don't know what else to say. And as always, go Ottawa, go.